these are 6 keys to split squat domination and bulletproofing your knees. We're gonna start with the first one, lying one leg hip flexions with a band or cable setup. You can also hook the band around the foot like this, but I'm just using an ankle cuff because it's nice and easy to set up. The big focus here is people will say don't work your hip flexors because they're often very tight, but the only thing worse than a tight muscle is a weak muscle. You also ideally will use your hip flexors to actively pull you down in a split squat or lunge position. So we're not only improving mobility here, strengthening the back and the core, we're also helping you get better at the descent of the movement as well. So you get enough tension in the system. I like this 4 sets of 15 to 20 reps per side, or work periods of 90 to 120 seconds. I'm gonna flatten my low back hard on the floor, push the hands into the ground, and then pull the knee, not just to hip level, but ideally above, where those high hip flexors, those psoas, get involved. Only above 90 degrees of hip flexion. So hold that for a count or two, release through, and I actually like to try to squeeze the quad and the glute hard right there. Pull all the way in, squeeze, come back and control. All the way through, squeeze, come back and control. One thing to note too is your mid quad is it's also hip flexor. So we're strengthening this mid quad muscle and all these hip flexor muscles. They'll translate very well to not only aesthetic improvements, but also, again, split squat domination. Next one, band TKEs 2.0. Now, terminal knee extensions, or TKEs, are a very common rehab exercise. Great for increasing strength and activation of the lower quad VMO teardrop muscle. Very important for knee health and stability. And you've probably seen this done before in the gym like this, where you stand and kind of go like this. I call this 2.0 because I think I've improved upon the pattern in terms of getting more recruitment and actually being more functional. So if you think about when a cornerback, right, they're at the line ready to guard a receiver, come back in their back pedal motion, or you are running straight and then you stop and then change direction. This is how you finish in that perfect deceleration position. You actually want to create some forward knee drive and motion at the ankle, and then all we're going to do from here is kind of load up like that, drop the hip, triple bend knee and ankle hip, and then we create the terminal knee extension. So I come down and control, load it, come right through. Great for agility, change of direction sports, court field sports. Incredible for improving the quad, lower quad activation and strength and development. And this will also really help bulletproof the knees. Again, work periods of 90 to 120 seconds per side, or higher reps of 15 to 20 with a good squeeze at the top will do the trick. This next one is a long stance split squat with a band distraction, and ideally also a slight elevation of the trail leg. Now, one often neglected aspect of a split squat is the contribution of the trail leg. It's about 60% of the weight in the front leg, 40% in the back. You also really need to be able to have strength in the toes and the feet of that trail leg. A lot of people actually have issues with their knees, not in the lead leg, but the trail leg. So this will help a lot with that, particularly in using the band distraction to really pull the hip flexors open and get even more glute activation. They kind of go hand in hand. The more you can squeeze the glute, the more the hip flexor relaxes and opens up. You also really want to focus on pulling the ribs and shoulders down, crunching your abs, and maintaining that position. In addition, the long stance is going to make it more hip dominant. So if you do have knee issues or you want to make it more glute focused, it'll do that as well. That forward pull of the band also, and again, you want to put it right underneath the gluteal fold. That forward pull of the band also forces you to drive your hips down more, okay, versus just coming forward. So I get set up. Again, super long stance. If you look down, that knee should be behind the ankle. Dig the back toes into that box. Again, set the abs. You automatically feel a stretch into those glutes. And then just sit into it and almost try to put even more weight. And the band will actually force you to do that, to put more weight on the trail leg. Sit into it, stay tall, keep the abs crunched. The upper back might round slightly, which actually helps mobilize and activate that glute more. And if I want more tension, I can even take this hand like this, push down. I can do some 1 to 2 second iso holds at the bottom, come through, and then at the top, flex the quad and the glute of that trail leg at the top position. Again, great for sets of 15 to 20 reps or 90 to 120 seconds of time under tension. You could also, if you want, add some load into the equation for heavier work, and let's say a 6 to 8 rep range or 8 to 12. So you've got options, either warm-ups or your main workouts. But I love this one. It really helps a ton with opening up the hips, strengthening your glutes, and taking pressure off the back knees. This next one is arguably the best quad exercise in existence, and it's easy on the back and knees, easy to recover from, and very progressive. So we're gonna do a kind of combining a TKE with a close stance split squat. So the TKE is gonna help build the top portion of the squat, provide tension where it's typically easiest to really get those lower quads involved. And then it's also can help create more forward knee drive, more movement through the ankle, so great for ankle mobility. And again, one of the big misconceptions in fitness is that the knee traveling forward is a bad thing. In fact, it is absolutely essential to create motion through the ankle and get a forward knee drive in sport and athletic positions. Anything explosive, the more stretch or movement you get to the joints, the greater explosion we can create. The issue becomes if you load it too fast, too soon, or there is mobility issues at hand. So this will help with that. In addition, a closer stance split squat targets the quads more. So you can do this with the back foot on the floor, or in the classic Bulgarian split squat emphasis, which is pretty much a rear foot elevated split squat at a higher level. My all-time favorite leg exercise. So what we're gonna do here is get locked in, and again, go with a thicker band, or wear a jogger or long pants so you don't get any of the abrasion or pulling of hair. You wanna get a lot of tension in the system, and even start at the bottom here to make sure you get that right position. So again, at the bottom, I want that band pulling it so that knee is toward the toe while keeping rib shoulders on, abs crunch, a slight rounding of the upper back. So I'm gonna come through, squeeze, hold for a count, 1, 2, lower in control. So again, this is typically where people rest, but now you're actually creating isometric tension, leg extension plus split squat. Think about a 2-for-1 here. Lower in control, come up. I love long 1 to 2 minute sets of this. Good squeezes at the top. Again, you can also load it up for, let's say, 30 to 60 seconds per side, or lower reps if you want that. I also love this for warm-ups. If I'm gonna do Bulgarian split squats, I'll often do 10 to 20 reps per side just to warm it up and get into it. Again, if you wanna also get a little more back toe involvement, all right, and get that going, you can do the same concept here with that back toe on the ground, coming through, pulling in. And again, it's not bad for the knees. Start with your body weight. It's a conditioning of the knees. This one I love. I think you will too. You gotta be open-minded. Sometimes things might look ridiculous to say just squat. Well, we are squatting. We're doing split squatting, which is actually much harder, in my opinion, from a activation standpoint, a stability standpoint, but again, with making lighter loads go a longer way. Up next, we got front foot elevated split squats. And one of the most overlooked aspects of progressive overload, everybody wants to keep adding weight, adding weight. What about increasing range of motion? So you make every rep have a bigger bang for your buck. It's also where muscle gain meets mobility. So a couple options here on the front foot elevated split squat. You want to elevate either on a stable surface like a couple weight plates, a low boxer step like that with adjustable risers works. I like the sand dune stepper because I also get to, especially with barefoot, I'm doing all these barefoot, I recommend it as well. You get to strengthen the muscle of the feet and toes, so many in there. You also get more mobility through the ankle and more activation of the entire kinetic chain. But the sand dune stepper is great because of the instability, kind of creating that in sand feel, great for the joints, great for activation. All my gear, by the way, the single leg squat stand and the sand dune stepper is at gardenofgains.com. That's Gains with a Z, damn it. All right, so we get set up. First one, so that not only are we getting more flexion through the hip, all right, with elevating this lead leg, we're also taking some stress off the knee. So those that get their knees beat up or can't really go as hard as they used to, have some wear and tear, working this into your training is a great way to just get more stress in the hips and less on the knees, while also increasing range of motion. So I get set, and I'm gonna load in here and just sink and control, push right through. And actually, I can't fully get all the way up at the top, so I actually kind of have like a nice constant tension stimulus here, but I get a good stretch here. So even considering holding 1 to 2 seconds at the bottom with that back knee hovering just above the ground. And again, high reps are excellent. You can load this up. So many options. And if you look at my foot now on the sand dune stepper, I'm constantly fighting for that tripod foot position to make contact with the heel and first and fifth knuckles of the toe to maintain a slight arc in that foot. So great for resilience, fortification, and gains. The other option is kind of the ultimate split squat, in my opinion, is both front and rear foot elevated. So I get here, and now I'm getting full excursion through all the joints in my lower body without any stress in the spine. Keep the abs crunched, good stretch there, all the way through. Again, I can load this up. I can go high reps, more time under tension. So many options. One thing I like to do is I actually do sometimes warm-up sets in this extended range of motion format. And then when I go to just doing a normal split squat on the floor, for example, I feel so good and locked in because I've already used more range of motion than I really require for the next exercise. So it's a great way to kind of grease the groove. Final move is next. Sixth and final move, split squat, abduction, band distraction, or emphasis. So what we do is we actually side face. You can attach it above the knee or below the knee. I prefer below the knee personally. You get a nice good thick band. You want to get far enough away where the knee is lined up with the anchor point and you feel tension pushing up against this band. So one of the big corrections in the split squat, or the squat in general, weak hip abductors or rotators result in that valgus knee position, kind of caving in. It can open you up to a hell of a lot of issues with the knee, tears of the ligaments. So we want to get locked in here, and then as I come down, I'm just keeping constant tension out and up. Constant tension out. You can load this up, you can go high rep, just body weight for a starter, warming up, pushing out. You can just 1 to 2 second holds, really pushing in. And beyond really giving that neurological driver, one of the key things that people overlook in the split squat, for more stability and strength, we actually want to focus on slightly turning the trail leg shoulder into the lead leg. You'll actually find the most stability, and this forces you to kind of feel that as you do it. Turning that trail hip shoulder into the lead leg. So again, one of those things where you're short on time, not to discount any of those moves that really just isolate, land on the floor, Suzanne Summers style. They have their benefit, they have their place for activation, warm-ups, metabolic stress, but if you can go 2 for 1 and create that abduction emphasis in the split squat, which again, compared to bilateral squatting, smaller learning curve, less stress in the joints, easier to recover from, more activation of the inner and outer hip thigh musculature, more mobility benefits. So many great things in this. Again, you can use any of these movements. You can circuit through them as a full workout. You can pick and choose for starters, warm-ups. You can plug them in for more load, for actual accessory movements or core movements based on what you're doing. Even if you like to still squat and deadlift, these will help a ton in strengthening imbalances inside, improving mobility, bulletproofing your joints. So if you love this shit, do it. Trust me, it works. Get all my gear, bands, boxes, single leg squat stand at GAINZ.com with a Z. Get my LungeMan shorts, 4-inch inseam, that's what she said. Built for men who never skip leg day, and dudes who take their fashion as seriously as their fitness. Great for the beach, great for swimming. Go to sleevessoldseparately.com. I think you'll love them. Love you guys, peace.